A bit of a real conversation right now. So I'm trying to create some humor before we get into the real conversation on what's happening. Um, good one, Bill. Good one. I just spent the last day and a half with Gary Keller on a Zoom call, and he shared a lot of interesting thoughts. So first, I want to go through. I'm taking this conversation three ways. All right. I'm taking on what's going on in the economy, what's going on from our consumers' perspective. And you always hear us talk about our job is to be the local economist of choice. So we want you to know as much as there is to know about what's going on in the macro environment we're in. So we're going to talk about the economy. We're going to talk about what's going on and how that affects the consumer. So that way, as you're going out there to buyers and sellers, you've got some perspective on what's happening there. Then we're going to talk about what that means for you as a real estate professional. And I've actually got some numbers that I'll be sharing what's going on in the three major MLSs that are on the phone. Some stats from the GSMLS, some stats from LIBOR, Long Island Board of Realtors, and some stats from Connecticut MLS. So I see we have people from all three states. So we're going to share some of those numbers of all three MLSs. Sound good? All right. If you're muted, just give me a thumbs up every now and then. Make sure you can still hear me. My mic keeps dying. Number one, the economy. So this isn't a recession. All right, this is not a recession we're in. The economy has been shut down. The economy has completely stalled. About 80% of the workforce was told to stay at home. So what we're expecting from this is there'll be a greater job loss from this time than there was in the Great Depression back in the 20s and 30s. So we're seeing a time that's unlike any other. Anyone that's comparing it to 2008 or 2001, it doesn't compare to any of those things because it's unlike anything we've ever experienced. So you can have the job loss that we saw back in the Great Depression, coupled with trying to restart an economy that was in essence 80% shut down, which has never been shut down before. And keep in mind, that was if we just shut it down for 2 weeks. Now, the president's saying till April 30th. Does anyone on this call think we'll be back to work business as normal by April 30th? By a show of hands, who thinks we're back by April 30th? We're estimating we're going to be in this environment for 60 to 90 days. I told my kids, not going back to school. I don't care what the schools say. It's not going to happen. So we're kind of expecting to live in this world for at least 60, most likely 90 days. 60 days is being optimistic. So 60 days is the end of May. Very likely the end of June. And even with that, there's some people talking that we'll see intermittent work from home for the rest of the year, where you may still see, even once we try going back, there'll still be periods of time where 1 week in an office environment, 1 week at home, or certain parts of the country are asked to work differently. So, this thing that was going to affect the market was going to affect it one way if it was just 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to affect it a whole different way if it's 2 to 3 months. Now, the government said some really cool things. They launched a $2.2 trillion stimulus package last Friday. Are we all aware of what's in that? At least the bare bones, the stimulus package. A lot of that is for employers to keep jobs going. One of the things is called a PPP. I just blanked out what it means. In essence, PPP is to keep people at work. So in essence, as an employer, I can apply for about 2.5 months of the salaries in order to not lay anybody off and keep people working. If you're a real estate agent with a team on the phone, you are eligible to apply for the PPP for the people that you employ as well. Right now, we're doing some research to see if I can file real estate commissions as part of that. Payroll protection plan. Thank you, Mitch Ross. I totally blanked. It's been a long day and a half. We're trying to get clarity whether or not we can put some of our real estate commissions in that. So for the people that made X amount this time last year that are making a very different amount now, can we kind of make that part of the play? So we're actually going to try to put real estate commissions in as part of that. No promises, but that's currently an area that's not completely defined in the PPP. However, there is talk as part of the stimulus to allow realtors to start collecting unemployment for the first time ever. Not just realtors, but all independent contractors. 1099 independent contractors have never been eligible for unemployment in the history of the US. There's a lot of things being adjusted right now where you may be able to be eligible for that. whether you are or not. We're going to try to see if we can get any of the payroll protection plan to help us cover you in that. So those are some of the things that are happening with the $2.2 trillion stimulus. But here's the other thing that Gary shared with us yesterday and again today. That $2.2 trillion stimulus isn't going to scratch the surface on what's going to need to be done in order to have a steer through this crisis that we're in. A lot of experts are saying it's going to be more like $6 or $7 trillion by the time it's done. The $2.2 trillion stimulus made sense if we were successful in that 2-week shutdown. Now that we're looking at perhaps a 2-month shutdown, 2.2 is not going to do it. Sean Chaconis, are you praying, or are your kids running around upstairs and you're wondering what's happening? So a lot of people say there could be as much as $6 to $7 trillion that the government needs to put out there to be able to help us recover from this situation we're in. I will get to some of the comments in just a second. With that, should that happen, here's the other place to kind of get your head around another thing. If we do get to that point where it's $6 or $7 trillion, regardless of who is in office in 2021, the odds are pretty good you will also see the U.S. tax plan change, where they need to completely change how we pay taxes, because if they're putting $6 to $7 trillion into our economy to be able to have us push through this, they're going to have to very much change the way taxes are paid. So you might see a straight 45 or 50% taxation come into effect in the next year that they might have to do for 3 or 4 years in order to have the U.S. dollar and the U.S. economy recover from this. So again, I'm just kind of giving you some vision. And again, this stuff is not Michael Brand. This is stuff that Gary Keller sharing with us. That's like, holy cow, the guy hasn't been wrong often. So I'm just kind of giving you this information to have in your head as you're out there looking at what's going on. This is a real thing. Now, keep in mind, I've been on the call. I got people calling me now. I've been on call for the last day and a half, banging my head against my monitor, because I'm on a call with 32 regions from all across the country. And I've got regions saying, this is the best quarter we've ever had. March is a heck of a month. April's looking great. And I'm thinking to myself, you haven't seen nothing yet, kids. You know, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, you're with us because we're neighbors. We're the hardest hit part of the country by far. What we're seeing right now is going to hit those other people. They're just still in denial about it. They don't see it coming. Probably like we might have been 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, when we heard about the coronavirus and we heard the president was shutting borders and is this all getting overreacted? So we're kind of watching a lot of that, and we're kind of ahead of a lot of the country. So I want to give you a picture of what's being seen on an even more macro level so you can prepare for it possibly. I'm going to go into the chat for just a second. So Katrina, no, middle America is not as shut down as we are because they're a lot more spread out. They don't have the dense geographics that we have. And when you look at the counties that are affected, you've got Manhattan, which is a very dense area. Now, I was in Penn Station about 3.5 weeks ago, and it was a week before everything got shut down, and it was a gross place to be. I'm thinking to myself, this corona's out here, and I'm like this, with all these people jammed up at Penn Station. Then you look at the commuter lines. You look at Bergen, Essex, Nassau, Westchester. It's all the commuter lines from Manhattan. So it happens in these dense areas and then goes out from there. So yeah, the middle of the country, the middle of America is not going to be hit, but they are going to feel it more than they expected. Keep in mind, economically, while they might not be hit as hard as we are from a number of infected, they'll be hit a lot harder from an economic standpoint because they don't have the industry, they don't have the jobs, they don't have the employment that we do here. Maria Baxter, you want to comment quickly? Because I'm trying to keep this to 30 to 40 minutes quickly on the mortgage forbearance.
Yeah, just real quickly. Hi, everyone. We had a big, we get these video that tell us what's going on in the market. So we have the top in the country. So basically, I want you, and I'm going to send it out all to the offices. You guys need to be really careful about this forbearance. People think that they can skip mortgage payments. It's not going to affect their credit and everything. So I'm not going to go into detail. I'll be sending you all a link about it. But a forbearance is a delay. It is not, you're not making your mortgage payments. You're going to have to make it up later. going to have a balloon payment. So please, if any of your people are saying, oh, this is so wonderful, it's not everything people think. It is going to affect your credit. So just so you know, please be careful with that. You call your lender, make sure you don't make any decisions without discussing it with them. And I'll be sending out some stuff, Alex and I, to educate everyone on it, because we definitely don't want people thinking that it's that simple. So thank you for that, Michael. And we are having a class tomorrow. Christina Crowley is going to be doing a class on how to, not just Instagram anymore, of how to get out in social media and how to get to your people better. She has a really great presentation. So hopefully you'll be on Zoom with us tomorrow.
Awesome. And I got to tell you say hi, Kay. So everybody. Hi, everybody. Everybody, this is Kayla. That's Michael behind her. Hi, friends. Lost in the sign. So yeah, I mean, so I will tell you, I've already called my mortgage company. I've already asked them if we could, stall payments or at least go to interest only for the next couple of months. That was kind of the approach I took. Can we go interest only and then figure out how we put the principal back onto the note? I've reached out to all of our landlords and all of our offices. I'm negotiating similar types of things there.
Yeah, it really depends on the lender.
Yep. And what escrows, are they collecting taxes? They may still need your tax payments. So there might be a lot of different things in that. Sean, I'm seeing New York is number one. New Jersey is second as far as states. But when you say third, I think you're referring to the fact now New Jersey's been hit harder than most countries. So yeah, I know New York is harder hit than most countries, and New Jersey is coming up to be started ranked that way. But in the stats I look at, New Jersey is 1 and 2. And those numbers will continue. I will tell you, I know the Morris County Testing Center just opened on Monday. So those numbers hadn't even been reported yet. We'll see them for the first time tomorrow for everyone that went through there on Monday. So it'll be interesting to watch that stuff. Yeah, so there are systems to be put into place in order to get more funds. But here's the thing. So teams, we're trying to get a team call together tomorrow to give you an idea of what you need to file the PPP. You want to get in line for some of these government funds as soon as possible, because they're going to get backlogged very quickly. So the people that file first, so we're filing on behalf of all the market centers this week in order to make sure we can stabilize things there and protect everything there. So, we're going to keep you in loop on some of these things as they come. So again, I just want to kind of give you a picture of what's going on in the economy. What's happening now is unlike anything we've ever dealt with before. So we can't compare it to anything that we know. But I spoke with someone recently who went to one of our competitors. The competitor's been in business about 5 years. And I said, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm happy to be in business with Gary Keller, who's been through a lot of economic shifts. And if I've got someone giving me advice, I'm going to take his advice more than most people, that's for sure. So now, what's going on to the consumers? What's happening to the people we're calling now? First of all, we talked last week about making that call of caring. How are you? How's the family? Is everybody healthy? How are things at work? Guys, make those calls. I got to tell you, I've been watching my phone. I haven't gotten a call from the person I bought a car from. I haven't gotten a call from my doctor's office. I've been going to the same doctor for the last 24 years. My doctor during a pandemic hasn't even called me to see how I'm doing. My insurance guy who covers all my insurances and life insurance and everything else, and my health insurance, I haven't heard from him to hear how we're doing. So we're not hearing from the people that we're in business with. So if we as real estate professionals are reaching out to people, asking how they're doing, how's their family, how's their job, you're going to set yourself apart. They don't like you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it, buddy. The doctors are a bit busy. I get that. You get my point, okay? I'm going to shut down this chat in about 2 seconds, okay? I'm trying to prove a point here. So by us reaching out is showing that we're coming from caring and offering them some ideas to save money. And hey, if you've called your bank to renegotiate those things, hey, let your past buyers and sellers know. Call your bank. See if they can freeze your mortgage. Call your credit cards. Go to no interest, no late payments. Give them some tips that we've been talking about on some of these calls, because what's going to happen is they're getting crunched. They're losing jobs. How many jobs were lost in New Jersey last week? 150,000 new claims of unemployment last week alone in New Jersey. I'm expecting in the month of April, we'll probably see somewhere between 700 and 900,000 new unemployment claims in New Jersey alone this month. Every day I'm hearing people tell me that someone they know has lost a job, someone they know has gotten sick, or someone they know has someone who has died so far. So, by reaching out, staying ahead, we can kind of hear what's going on with our consumers and be there for them, because they're losing jobs. They're going to be struggling. We're going to be walking into a short sale and foreclosure market that we've probably never seen before. Even with all this government support, there's going to be people that don't know how to get help from it, or their employers may not be proactive, or they may struggle more than others. So we're also walking into one of those areas that could be a huge challenge from a foreclosure or short sale. Now, have we recovered our foreclosures and short sales from the last shift yet? Do you think we've still got bank-owned properties out there in northern New Jersey, in New York and Connecticut? We do. We do. New Jersey is one of the highest with shadow inventory still. So we haven't cleared out the stuff from the last shift, and we're going to start seeing some new stuff coming in as part of this new economic shift. So again, make sure we're reaching out to our people, make sure we're keeping an eye on them, make sure we're communicating with them. So what's going on in our markets? In 1 second. Where is my, I'm trying to find my cursor. There it is. What's going on in our market? Now, I can't see you guys anymore, so I'll need to have someone give me some verbiage. Rich, help me out. Can you see my screen? Can you guys see my screen? I can't see you because I've got a screen share up. So yes, great, thank you.
Yes, we can see it.
So this top section is the GSMLS. So let me go through each categories. The top section is the GSMLS, and I'm trying to find a way to put this into a fancy little graph, but honestly, I have not had a free minute. So if I'm look at the bottom section first. Look at this section first. If I'm looking at closed units, over the last 12 months, closed units, I'm just going to look at units, ignore volume. Last 12 months, closed units were about flat. They were up 0.6%. These are all percentages. They were flat. Year to date, it was flat 2 weeks ago. Now, year to date, we're down 6% in closed home sales in the GSMLS. This month, the month of March, we're down 24% over last year. The last 2 weeks, we're down 38%. And in the last 7 days, we're down 52%. So they might have been pushed to next month because of the change of things, but there's also a large amount of these things that are actually being canceled or fallen through, or people lost their jobs as the mortgage company is going to do the final employment verification. So we're looking at our incomes in the next 30 days to perhaps be challenged down 52% over last year. But hey, things aren't that bad, people will say. Now, I say, okay, what's the next 30 to 45 days look like? Well, again, if we look at under contracts, the under contracts are our money for May. It's our commissions for May. Our under contracts, we're looking good. Actually, the end of February, our under contracts in the last 12 months, we're up 15 and 17%. Now they're just up 3 because in March, under contracts are down by 10%. The last 2 weeks, they're down by 25%. In the last 7 days, they're down 38%. So is it harder or easier to get homes under contract when we have restricted showings and addendums in a lot of our markets? We can't even show houses in. It's probably a little bit harder, right? Yeah, I can't see if you're nodding, so I need some verbiage.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Thank you, Rich. Rich, keep you on mic, so at least that we can respond. So I hear someone kind of is hearing what I'm saying. Now we look at listings. What do listings represent? When will we typically see the income from our listings? If we take a listing today, if we took a listing in March, when's it going to go under contract?
Right now, probably 4 months.
Yeah, so right now, if you take a listing, typically it goes under contract within about 30 to 45 days, then closes in 45 to 60 days. So our March listings end up being our May and June income, most likely our June income, right? So in the last week, our listings dropped by 70% in the GSMLS. This is all GSMLS. Last 2 weeks is down 56. Month to date is down 29. So
I unmute myself. I can.
why am I sharing this with y'all? You guys need to be real that come June, July, your income from real estate could feasibly be down by 60, 70, 80% versus what you were making last year. Let me just stop for a second. Thoughts? How do you feel about that statement? Come June, July, your income could be down 60, 70, 80%. I seen UGG. What else?
Honest.
Honest, you guys need to be real. If you haven't already called your mortgage companies to talk about adjusting your mortgage payments, or your car company, or your credit card companies, or canceled your landscapers, or canceled your cleaning people, get real right now. Because we may not all feel it because some of these under contracts are still happening. But if we don't get real right now, we're going to have a lot of pain come June and July. And I don't want to see you guys being in that kind of crunch come June, July. I'm expecting the income to our market centers to be down as much as 80% in June, July. And that's in New Jersey. In New York State, we're expecting no closings. We're expecting no closings in June and July. New York, they can't even show houses. They can't even go on listing appointments. They can't leave their home for real estate related activity. And I'm going to show you those stats in a second. So I'm trying to prepare that Bill Chevalier. Now is the only way to make it through the fall. If you don't prepare right now, if you don't make adjustments, me and Amy were going through our debit card from the last bank account from the last month. Where can we clean $100 here, $100 there, 75 here, 75 there? All those little numbers make a big difference. So again, this is our new reality. Gilda, it would be nice if MLS will put a halt on days on the market. They may not, but let's be honest. If any agent in the next 12 months bring days on market up as a negotiating tool, I give you permission to laugh in their face. Laugh in their face. Because if they're actually bringing up days on market, then they're one of those people that have had their head in the sand for the last 2 weeks. That's going to keep their head in the sand for the next 2 months. And that buyer they're walking out with will be a lucky buyer that they fall on because they weren't paying attention to what was going on in the world. So again, if you laugh in their face or even flip them off and they call me with a complaint, I got your back. Do you think the unemployment will decrease again once you're no longer in quarantine? All I could say, when we see a rapid level, and I go back to 2001 and again in 2008, when we see a rapid level of unemployment, it takes a real long time for it to build back up because what happens is companies trim the fat. They find a way to make it work with less. Now, this is companies across America. And their businesses are going to take a while to get going again. So typically, there's a 3 to 5 year lag. Once jobs are lost, there's a 3 to 5 year lag for those jobs to come back and really get into a recovery phase. So unfortunately, when we start seeing that rapid unemployment, it's going to be a while before we recover that. Jim, do you have a question or a comment? I know she unmuted. I wasn't sure if you had something you want to share.
I just wanted to respond to your comments whenever you wanted them.
Sure. You want to respond to a comment now?
I'm good.
Good, cool. I got you. When I go back to the chart, okay.
Right.
You're ready for the next state stats. Some businesses will not come back to rehire. The restaurant businesses are going to be a whole new landscape. There's going to be some restaurants you never see again. There's going to be some restaurants that go out of business and just disappear. You will see a crazy change in restaurants. It's funny. I've got one landlord who kind of pushed back and said, no, you can't do any change in rent. So I said, okay, I'm not going to send you a check next month or maybe the month after, because what's also going to happen in that market, and again, I'm playing hardball negotiations with this particular landlord. There's not going to be businesses ready to walk in and rent 7,000 square foot spaces. There's businesses that are going to be changed for the next 5 to 7 years. So banks, mortgage banks are getting it. Credit card companies are getting it. Auto loan companies are getting it. If landlords aren't getting it, then they're missing the boat big time right now. Yep, pages are still going strong. Let's just jump on. For the people with other states, I wanted to share some of these other state stats as well. So can you see my my screen?
Yeah.
So if I look at the second section, the second section is Long Island Board of Realtors. This is, you know, all the boroughs except for Manhattan, and Nassau, Suffolk County. Now, I'm still waiting to hear back from Brokermetrics because Brokermetrics shows absolutely nothing in the last 7 days. They show 0 under contracts, listings taken, or closed units. So before I put out there that, you know, we're 100% off, and I do believe we're at least 85 to 90% off in the last week in New York because of the state shutdown. I'm not ready to say we're 100% off. I'm waiting to hear back from Brokermetrics to make sure they are receiving the feed and something didn't happen. However, the last 2 weeks, they're down 73% in closed homes. They're down 62% in under contracts and down 72 to 75% in listings taken. So again, I'm anticipating New York to be off by 80 to 100% come June and July. Again, New Jersey, 70 to 80%, New York, 85, 80 to 100%. Connecticut, real quick, just to show the comparison, Connecticut's interesting. Connecticut hasn't had the effect that we've had with Corona. Last time I checked, they were just breaking 1,000 infected compared to, you know, New Jersey's at 22, New York's at 70. So it's kind of interesting in Connecticut. Look at these numbers here. Now, I'm checking to see if anyone from Connecticut to tell me, did the MLS change happen this time last year from Smart MLS to CT MLS? Or was that farther ago than last March? If anyone could share that with me. Because I'm seeing our under contract activity this month is through the roof in the MLS. Now, again, there was some mergers of MLSs up there, so I've got to verify that data. But the closings are definitely showing down. The closings are definitely showing down. And I'm just trying to pop up in my chat window to see if I'm missing chat. I lost my chat window. Our closings are definitely down by 17%. Listings taken are down by 50%. But it's showing that our under contracts may be up. Again, I'm looking to verify that data due to an MLS merge up there. We'll just go back to here. Stats. The merger happened way back in 18 or 17. I thought so, Rich. So those under contract stats wouldn't be affected by the merger. That merger was 2 years ago, much longer than a year ago. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So Connecticut, what you've seen in the last month, people that want to move this year are actually out there writing contracts like crazy because they're seeing what's happened in New York and New Jersey. They're seeing that Connecticut hasn't shut down yet. So they're actually going out there and the under contracts have increased in the last week. Under contracts are up by 82% over the last week of March of last year. So again, that could be a lot of fear buying because they know if they want to move, they might not have a choice if they wait another couple of weeks. Are you guys seeing that up there? Again, the difference with Connecticut MLS, unlike GS is very tight geographic area. Connecticut MLS is the entire state from Greenwich all the way to Hartford. So it's got a much bigger economy of scale. Katrina, yeah, you might want to get your Connecticut license. Michelle Reedy, everyone is leaving New York and Westchester County and moving to Connecticut, most likely. But let's talk about that for a second. I do think we are, there's our Director of Agent Services and Technology, Rich Cummings, put his email address in there if you want information on how to get licensed in Connecticut. Louis, he's good like that. So what we're going to start seeing is what we saw in 2001. I think as we get through this, there's going to be people that look to leave the density of the cities. We've had this issue with the millennials the last couple of years that they want to be close to public transportation, close to town in the city. A worldwide pandemic is going to change that. I think over the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to see a lot of migration from the city back out in the suburbs because people are going to want a little bit more space. People are going to be a little bit more hesitant of living in that tightly dense community. And let's be honest, do you see yourself going back into a restaurant in the next 30 to 45 days? Probably not like we were. We probably won't be going to restaurants the same way until the end of the year. So what's happening right now is going to change the way we as human beings operate. So without a doubt, Western New Jersey could see a huge uptick. The question is, do we see it in the next 12 to 18 months or the next 3 to 4 years? What do you think is going to determine how fast we see an uptick? two things: interest rates and unemployment. Interest rates and unemployment will drive the speed of the recovery. But again, I expect the next 3 months to be extremely challenging, this year to be difficult, and probably be a 3 to 4 year process of coming out of what we're going through right now. It's not going to be something where next January, ooh, things are back to where they were in the beginning part of 2019. It's going to be a shift. I already had someone reach out to me to sell New York City property to move to Princeton. Without a doubt, will a vaccine help? Sure. But here's the thing. While a vaccine for this might help, people are going to think, well, what if it happens again? What's the next thing? What's the next virus? I think people underestimated COVID-19 because of the SARS scare and how SARS didn't go anywhere. And this is going somewhere completely different. So again, I kind of want to share with you a picture of what's going on with the economy, what's going on with the consumer head, and what's going on in real estate, because I really want to impress on you two things. There's two things. If you do nothing else right now, here are the two things you need to be doing. Number one, remargin your life immediately. Remargin your life. Find ways to cut, find ways to trim. If you haven't already canceled your summer vacation, then you're not looking at the same picture I'm looking at. We've already canceled our summer vacation. We canceled our spring break trip right away. We've already canceled our summer vacation. Amy, make sure your computer's muted so the kids don't hear that. We haven't told them yet. So if you haven't already done that, or change it. Again, we were looking to go away to the Caribbean. Hopefully I can still do something at the Jersey Shore for a few days. So, again, you've got to be ready to operate very differently than you were going to operate going into this. So that's number one. Number two, make sure you're out there communicating. Make sure you're out there calling your database. Come from caring. Offer them ideas to save them money. I'm not here to be put on a commercial, but Gary had us do something with Keller Covered, our insurance company, yesterday. I went in there and requoted my insurance through Keller Covered. It was a $1,400 savings on my home insurance. We've got our mortgage people on the line here. Maria's on the line. Alex is here. Loan Depot's in the office. Our folks up in Connecticut are there. In New York, we got mortgage partners there. You know what? They might want to look at this as a great time to refinance. How much money can they save in a refi? Again, we're not here to sell them anything. We're here to give them suggestions on how they can save money in their life. And when I look at saving money in my life, my home is the biggest area to save some money. And my vacations, a big area to save money. And then some of those insurances we rely on. I'm repricing my auto insurance and my home insurance right now. I just missed health insurance, but I might reprice that anyway and look at repricing all of my insurances, because those are all big expenses life-wise. So look at your biggest expenses and try to make some of those adjustments quick. Thank you, Gilda. I'm sure Amy's going to text you already. Bev Kalinka, consumer confidence from 87 to 88 took 4 years. Now here's the weird thing about this recession, this depression, this what's the term I'm looking for? This situation is, we were a strong economy going into it. We were a strong economy going into it. So, we've never seen the economy get affected. And today we're seeing another 3 or 4% drop in the stock market. I think it was 3.8 when I looked at it about an hour ago. Yeah. So we're seeing another significant drop in the stock market today. I'm not looking to reduce my life insurance, Kelly. I'm looking at my health insurances, just changing companies to reprice them. I really can't go and change my life insurances, unfortunately. But we don't know how we're going to recover out of this just yet. We don't know how much of that stimulus is going to affect what part of America, and we don't know what the ultimate economy is going to look like when it's done. All I could do is research it, watch it, understand it, listen to Gary Keller, listen to my advisors, and share that information with you as much as we can. So again, the two big things for you guys that you need to know we're working on is, number one, I'm trying to see if I can get any of the commissions you earned last year included in that PPP program, to be able to give you some options there. Number two, I'm going to keep researching unemployment insurance for real estate professionals to see if you have some area to benefit from there. And 2A, for those of you that have teams, go and file that PPP paperwork right now. You may be able to keep your teams employed for the next 2.5 months by getting some government support on that. Whew, there's a lot of information in 35 minutes. How we doing?
Good. Good.
Good? Questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, challenges, worries. This is kind of your chance to speak openly and honestly. You'll find I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm not putting a filter up. I'm sharing with you the research as I'm learning it and hearing it. And when Gary was that a husband? I hope Joe DeGrazio doing lawn work. It better not have been a landscaper. That better not have been a landscaper. That better be your husband doing work out there.
That's my husband.
Okay. You're lucky. If that was a landscaper, I was going to come to your house 6 feet away and give you a talking to. That was the first thing I canceled was my spring cleanup. My kids are going to learn how to blow leaves and rake leaves this weekend. They've never had to do it. God bless them. They're going to learn right now. I'm going to get a couple push mowers. My boys are big enough for a push mower. Darn it.
Nothing wrong with some hard labor. Teach these kids.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be a good time for them. But here's the other thing. Can we talk about our kids for a second? I'm worried about our kids, boy. When my 10-year-old says to me every day, Dad, the world just doesn't make sense right now. Think about that. The 10-year-old, the world doesn't make sense. Well, why not? Well, we can't go to school and I'm afraid to go outside. And I can't see my friends. As we're going through this, we as parents are doing what we can to navigate through this. Now, I don't care if your kids are 8, 18, or 28. Know that we've got to make sure we're kind of pouring into them, because as confusing and chaotic as this is for us, it's really confusing for them. You know, my 8-year-old is just happy not to be in school. My 10-year-old is confused. My 12-year-old never wanted to go to school so bad in her life. So every age group is going to handle this a little differently. We've got to make sure we're communicating on that. A couple of comments here, Antoinette. I have a seller that won't come down much from list price. We have an offer 25,000 less. I explained what's going on. They want to wait out the virus. So first of all, we'll get these stats out to you, bare bone minimum ASAP. I would show that seller, hey, Mr. Seller, just so you know, home closing is dropping by 52% in the last week, 38% under contract. So show those stats. In addition to that, we're expecting New Jersey to see an additional $600,000 to $800,000 job loss this month. Yes, you could wait till we survive COVID-19, but I can't promise you the market in the fall is going to look any better than this. And my concern for you, Mr. Seller, is saying no to a $25,000 lower offer now could cost you $100,000 in the fall. It very well might. Typically, we see markets like this fall. They fall fast, they fall hard, and they take a long time to recover. If you've got a story of that seller that should have sold in 2008, but didn't accept that low ball offer, but sold in 2009 for a lot lower or lost their house, now would be a time to tell that story. We have a home inspection issue where we're looking at in Sussex County. You know who I'm talking to in Sussex County? They didn't appraise by $20,000. And the seller thinks they have negotiating power. They don't. They don't. You know, this is not a market where they can play games. The market's falling fast. 52% in the last week home under contract that didn't see a closing table. 52% down from last year. So again, we got to make sure we're really strong and aggressive with that conversation. I'd rather disappoint you now than upset you later, Mr. Seller. I'd rather disappoint you now than upset you later. Can you share these stats? Yes, Carolina will share these stats. Dylan, I love you, man, and I know I'm working you like a dog. I'm going to send this to Dylan, Emily, and Rich. If between the three of you guys, you can put your heads together, take the three markets, make this look good. Maybe throw on some of the pieces we already have, and let's get these numbers out to our three markets. That would be awesome. What's that, Dylan?
I'll get Sean to help me.
Sean, help me. Sean is a great administrative assistant. He was a good hire. Nice job, Dylan. Would you recommend the vacant properties getting staged and doing short-term rentals for the next 2 to 3 months? That's a great, Amanda Abdel Saeed, I'm loving you right now. That's a fantastic idea. There's a lot of people looking to leave the city for the next couple of weeks or couple of months just to get a break from this. So staging and doing short-term rentals would be a huge thing. Look at what happened with Airbnb yesterday. You know, Airbnb just made a huge change to their structure to try to create an environment where their landlords can actually survive. They got people that have built their businesses around Airbnb, and people aren't traveling right now. So they're actually, there's a lot of people losing a lot of money in that business. I saw Redfin just sold $110 million worth of their stock in order to stay afloat. So again, you're going to see a lot of companies get forever change in this market. We're seeing those New York City trying to rent all the way out here. Wow. So if people from New York City is renting all the way out in Pentucky, where Kelly Holmquist works, you know things are difficult. By the way, Pennsyltucky is another name for Long Valley and Chester. Sorry, Sally Smith. Do it now, though, for short-term areas are banning them. Short-term rentals, I mean, yeah, you can see a lot of crunching. I mean, at one point over the weekend, there was a question whether the president was going to shut down New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. When I say shut down, he wasn't going to let people cross the border because he didn't want to have people leaving New Jersey to go to Florida and bring the virus with them to Florida. So love you, Kelly Holmquist. And I think you forgot the N on the end of that F-U-N, I think is what she was referring to in the chat box. I totally deserve that. I totally deserve that. Residential rentals are a good idea. Short-term rentals could be a great idea right now. Florida is banning New York plates. Kathy Salermo, interesting news. Florida is banning New York plates. If you got plates, they're turning you around on 95, I'm guessing. Hey now, Ian Wolf, thank you for calling. That's my fault. I deserve that. Ian Wolf posted up higher in the thread. Please make sure you take a look at it. The COVID-19 relief, it's a link to the grant. So take a look at that. By the way, Kelly, I think you meant to say that just to me, not to everyone. We're good. How do we get this message to the other 800 agents that are not on the Zoom? Great question, Dylan Bryant. Great question. If you guys thought this was, valuable, first of all, if you thought it was valuable, give me a thumbs up or a Y in the chat box. Just let me know. If you think this conversation is valuable, I'm willing to do it again next week. But I would say you guys tell 4 or 5 people that they don't. Actually, I believe we've got the same topic on the agenda for Friday. Don't we, Dylan? Do we have the communication in this market? So we have the same topic on the agenda for Friday. So if you think it's valuable, if you've got team members, if you've got people in your downline, I'm willing to do this again on Friday if we want to ramp this up and invite other people. And this is just a great time for you to connect with other people you're talking to, a great time for you to connect with people you've co-broked with in the past. And your conversation would be, hey, listen, I know you're at Brand X, whatever, or hey, I know you weren't on the call. We did this great call today on getting real in this market, getting right in this market. He's going to do it again on Friday, 2 o'clock. You need to be on it. I'd love to see 300 or 400 people. No, Friday is not Q&A with Matt Teeter. He's next week. Matt Teeter is next week. So 2 things. I'll repeat this Friday. Make sure you get the word out to people you know that they want to be on this Friday call. Number 2, we've got a couple of guests coming up. We've got Matt Teeter. We've got Patrick Woods. We've got over the next 2-3 weeks, we got 6 or 7 awesome guests. What I will tell you, those guests, we're actually going to put that out to a bunch of people. We'll probably have 700 to 800 people on some of those calls with those guests. So if you see something with a special guest on, I'm going to strongly encourage you guys to log into the Zoom at about 5 minutes to 2. At about 5 minutes to 2. Because if you log in at 2, you might actually get bounced out. Because I see us actually having a chance of hitting capacity of 1,000 people on some of those Zoom calls. So if you see a special guest over the next 2 weeks, make sure you jump on the call 5 minutes early to make sure you get in. Any other last minute thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? Kelly Holmquist, unfortunately, I'm not completely staying home. I'm actually leaving right now for a few minutes. I'm running over to Roxbury to do the final walkthrough. Our new Roxbury location is done. We can't do anything with it just yet. Thank God we've got free rent for a little bit, but it's done. So we got to do the final walkthrough there, but we'll be ready when the market opens back up. Any final questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, or excitements?
Thank you, Michael.
You got it, Sean. Thank you. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Luis. Guys, great seeing you again. Again, my promise to you is I may not always sound pretty, but I'm going to be real. My job is to give you as much support and advice as possible to help us. It's okay, Sean. You do that My goal is as much support, advice, guidance as I can to help you navigate through this crazy time. None of us have ever been through this before. Even those of us that experienced 01 and 08, and I was lucky enough to be in real estate both those times, have never experienced anything quite like this. But I know that when we get through this, we'll be bigger, we'll be stronger, we'll be more powerful, and we're going to be that way because we're doing it together. Thank you for being here. Have a great day, a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.